Daniel, so happy to have you on the podcast.
What's up, brother?
Two reminders to the top of that list when they rolled out the feature where it can be just a reminder. I mean, I love that.
Because my days have gotten so busy that I don't have time for like friends or family.
Fam, what's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. We're sitting down with a great person. Honestly, I mean, I like to think of you as a good friend too. I mean, we've met through the family mastermind, had a bunch of conversations in the past. You're doing a lot of big things right now within the industry. Ladies and gents, with us we have Daniel McClam. He's the founder of InvestorBase, or co-founder of InvestorBase, also owner at Hawks Real Estate. You've been in the real estate space for a long time. You have your broker's license in South Carolina, out of all places, and I mean you've been in a player in the industry for a long time. The biggest thing that you guys have worked on over the last year, which has totally been a game changer for I think anybody, especially in the wholesaling space, is InvestorBase, right? And that's your dispositions platform, pretty much, where you make it easy for people to come in and find the most likely buyers for their deals. Daniel, so happy to have you on the podcast. Dude, it's a pleasure, having a conversation with you again. We just met up in a couple of weeks ago in St. Louis, and I mean, just I'm impressed every time I talk to you because there's something going on, with you at all times. Right now, you just gave your team a big bonus for benchmarks. So I want to unpack that whole story. First off, welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate you having me, brother. I get the chance to see Rafael a good amount, and he's always one of the most exciting people I get to meet and chill
Oh,
with at
stop
these
it.
things.
Tell
So,
me more.
hey, well, whenever I see, I'm like, "What's up, brother?"
What's up? Yeah, no, we just had a really good session in St. Louis. I mean, part of that mastermind, community, right? That everybody has to find their people and level up with their people, which I mean, totally, segue a whole different conversation right there. But bro, walk me through this entire process, because what you guys have done is it's nothing short of, astonishing, really. Over a span, you launched last April 2024. There's 4th is when InvestorBase kicked off. The platform is growing. You guys are developing a lot of stuff and putting a lot of really good, features and benefits and stuff into the process. I mean, I can tell you, without fluff, that we literally use it as it's part of our standing protocol, because of the some of the stuff that you have in there. As far as acquisitions and comping and underwriting deals, we go straight to you guys. To me, it's impressive that all of this has happened in a very short period of time. So walk me through the process, how you got into real estate, first off, and just progressively, went into the SaaS business.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not a software guy by trade, so I didn't just wake up and decide, oh yeah, I'm going to build a software one day, right?
Yeah.
So there is some backstory to it, and really what it boils down to, how I got into SaaS, is just finding a problem and solving a problem in my own business, right? And it required building a software around that, right? So
Hmm.
um, I guess I always knew I wanted to be in real estate. I went to college at Charleston here in Charleston, South Carolina, majored in commercial real estate finance. Got out, went straight into commercial brokerage. So was selling and leasing warehouses. So I
Yeah.
love that. I was on an awesome team with some guys doing some pretty serious volume. So we did about 200 deals in 2 years. So got a lot of experience there. Um, and then my brother, I have two older brothers, and my middle brother Andrew started wholesaling. So while I was a commercial broker, he started wholesaling. I didn't even know what it was. Basically explained it to me. I was like, man, that's BS. That's not real. Whatever. But then I started to see he started selling to these institutional buyers, right? So that is where I started to pay attention. And so in 2021, 2022, um, I made the decision to start my own firm. I already had my broker's license, so it was an easy transition. We took that business, Hawks Real Estate, scaled it up to about 10 plus deals a month by within about 12 months. So we scaled that company pretty quickly from zero to, we were doing some volume. But we only sold to institutional buyers. Okay, so that's like the
Hedge
caveat
fund
there is
glory days.
the glory days where, you could essentially write a letter into the wind and have, 15 offers on your doorstep the next day.
Yeah.
But we simply prioritize the institutional guys. And as you know, Rafael, I mean, you sold to them too. They went away at the end of 2022 pretty quickly along with
Yeah.
rates. Their cost of debt went up, and all of a sudden they essentially disappeared. So we were in a pretty tough position at that point. I remember we had about 30 deals under contract in total, 4 acquisition agents in-house, about 20 cold callers overseas. We had an office on King Street downtown. I mean, we had a pretty legit operation going on, and all of a sudden, overnight, we had 0 buyers, right? And so
Yeah.
we had never sold a deal to a local flipper landlord before. Um, Therein lied the problem that we were faced with. And so we looked out at our options of how we could potentially do this, and we realized that there was not an effective process to identify who's the most likely buyers for our deal. So that's what we went out and built. It took us a while to get it off the ground, but we hard launched last year in April
Yeah.
with InvestorBase.
Yeah, I mean, I remember having a combo with you. This is a while back. I mean, I think you guys had been in this had to be what, September, I think, when we probably September.
Mhm.
I feel like when we started talking, maybe, yeah, a little before then. But I mean, you guys were a few months into it, and just kind of crafting the details of it, right? Um, so you guys have done a lot from the software standpoint, meaning that you focused on this one simple thing, right? I remember having this combo with you back then, and like, yeah, we just want to make it easier for people to find buyers. I mean, dropping in an address, for example, and then boom, you have a list populate um for whatever area you're looking at in the country. Like, dude, like, I built that into my SOP, and I sort of got there was about, I don't know, 5 or 8 steps behind that, right? So, for example, we had to go to a platform, then pull the platform, then scrape it, and then append it, and then add the phone numbers, and do a series of steps that to me didn't matter that much because I wasn't doing it, my VAs were, but it's still time consuming, right? And then it's not a curated list, so you have to go through that whole process. Anyways, you guys compiled, this whole massive section of things into this one thing where you just dropped an address. I remember seeing it, I was like, dude, I want this. I want this. Shut up
Mhm.
and take my money. But just I thought it was the ease of use was something that I feel like that sold me on, and I get excited about when I see platforms like that and new products like that. I mean, you can probably sense it in the way that I'm talking about it, because it's everything nowadays tends to be so confusing. It's like super heavy, right? Like, you need a manual for the software or the platform or whatever. And we live in a very, very fast world. We have to have simple results, have them quick, especially in real estate, dude. I mean, everything just moves so fast, and I think
Mhm.
you guys have done that successfully. Now, the question I have is, did you start off with the idea of developing something like this, and did you know that you were going to grow into or have the type of success that you guys are having right now, and scale, or was it something that was like, hey, let's put together this, use it internally, and then just kind of see what happens?
Yeah, good question. No, to start, we did not expect it to explode this fast because
Yeah.
initially we didn't expect to even roll it out to the public, right? So we had built this for ourselves to solve the bottleneck that was essentially what you just laid out. What historically has been, a 5, 6, 7 step process to, you know, pull a quote unquote cash buyers list, scrub the list to identify which one of those were real, like flips or buy and hold, identify the flipper, identify the landlord, identify the LLC, identify the registered agent, and then go and pay to skip trace them. We started to do that in our own business, and we realized how ineffective the process was. And we were like, how has somebody not made this more efficient?
Yeah.
Um, so that was like the first bottleneck problem that we wanted to solve. And so we solved it, right? We turned that into one click of a button. Um, and that was really the start of the software as we started to show it to some other people. They're like, dude, y'all have this? Like, man.
Yeah.
And so we started to beta test it with just a few people in our masterminds in our network. And they were like, dude, how much can we pay for this? Like we want
Yeah.
access to it. And so at that point in time, it was called Buyer Beacon. Um, that was in 2023. And then we started to realize how big of an impact we could make, and just started to solve more bottlenecks in the dispo space within the software that we realized a lot of everyone else already had these bottlenecks as well, right?
Yeah.
So like identifying the most likely buyer, condensing the steps into one, building the landing page, building your buyers list, identifying what a buyer will likely pay. Those are all just bottlenecks within the dispo space that we solve for, right? So decided to go full time into it, and we shut down. We essentially turned off our lead gen for the Hawks real estate in December of 2023,
Hmm.
which wasn't an easy decision. You know what I mean? It was we transitioned a few employees, but we we let the office go. We let people go. I mean, I put a decent amount of money of my own money into InvestorBase. I mean, Hawks floated salaries during the transition period until we could get some revenue. I mean, it was like a full shutdown switch, like balls to the wall,
You
just
took
going for it.
you
Yeah.
took the entrepreneur leap, man. I mean,
Yeah. And
once
it
again, I
was,
guess, once again, you know, different vertical.
yeah. I mean, it was a risk. We more saw it as going towards an opportunity versus
Mhm.
running from something, right?
Yeah,
So like we had something good. We
I
saw
like
this
that.
as a unique opportunity, um, and we wanted to run towards it, right? So that was that. Nothing comes without its risk, though, right?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a very valid point. You have something that's working, right? Maybe some hiccups and things of that nature, but it's always, it's gonna be you're never going to have a business that doesn't have some type of challenges, right? Especially being bootstrapped, that you don't get hit with something that you're not expecting.
Hmm.
Tyson says, you always have a plan until you get punched in the face. And then people change, right? In you guys' case, it was more of an opportunity, which I like the I feel like the energy behind it, because you weren't leaving something that was painful, you were going towards something that was greater at that point. So I'm trying to just kind of, unravel the mindset, of that leap and that jump, because most people would say, well, if this is working, why am I going to let go of this and then jump
Hmm.
into this other section? You saw something that you could put your faith on, and then, went full blast at it. What are you guys excited about right now as far as everything that you have learned in the past? Walk me through some of the biggest challenges and perhaps some of the biggest wins.
Yeah, man. I would say some of the biggest challenges, um, man, there's a lot. I'm trying to pinpoint exactly what the best one is. I would say that we've had a unique opportunity at InvestorBase. At this point, we've onboarded probably close to 2,000 wholesale companies in the last 12 to 14 months, which is a lot of people to onboard, right?
Yeah.
So we've had like a crazy high growth trajectory to date, which, if you haven't done that before, it's incredibly difficult to project that growth when it's so volatile and also just hire ahead of that growth. So what can happen when you grow that fast, and what you see with a lot of like, you know, VC firms is, they're pumping in a million, 2 million, 5 million bucks. And while those guys are going and spending the hell out of that money, right? They're hiring an
Yeah.
army, right? They're hiring an army. Now we're bootstrapped, right? We didn't go raise money or anything. So it's a little bit different for us, as we have to kind of like pace how we hire and whatnot. But that's been the biggest challenge. And so I think something that I've taken away from that is, um, not to rely too much on the data, but to trust kind of your gut. If you see a trend in the data, hey, whether it's active users for us or signups and it's going up, and we see what a big affiliate can push, or whether it's we're about to launch a new marketing channel, and you're going to be constrained in a certain area, uh, make the hire your number one priority and your number one responsibility for the day, right? If you have 5 things that you list out on your notepad that you're going to do today and you prioritize it, if hiring is in any way, shape, or form one of those, it needs to be your number one.
Mm.
Because I've waited too long to hire some people that it took too long, and I just know that there was slippage in whether it's our sales funnel, because I handle the sales and marketing on our side of business. And it's very easy for me, at least as an entrepreneur, to know where the leaky bucket is.
Yeah.
At what part of the pipeline are we leaking, from lead to conversion, right? And so I knew it for a while where that was going to be and where it was, and it was hiring more people on the go-to-market team. And so that would be one thing that I've learned. And once again, it's really tough to project with a high volatile growth company like this. But that's one, if I could go back, I would change that.
So
Um,
going back through the yeah, but I guess, I mean, usually when you get to that point of experience, and it's because you've ran in and you've ran the track for a long time, right? You guys have had a lot of like fast growth, and I mean, I'm assuming that you guys had to put a lot of the pieces together as you kind of went, right? So
mhm.
doing that and then building onboarding processes and hiring, and I mean, it can be a very challenging thing, right? And I think it's also sometimes it can be worse to do a bad hire than to just carry the weight for a little longer until you have your ducks in order to know what they're going to be doing. And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, bad hire is worse than just hiring. It'll set you back farther for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, I believe make the make hiring just your priority, right? So like
Yeah.
if you need to hire someone, make, having the screening have the screening being done, right? Don't
Yeah.
procrastinate. That is all I mean by that.
Yeah.
Um,
So what going forward with like what are you guys' plans? Because again, you guys are moving fast. You guys are doing a lot of stuff and having a lot of ripple effect in the space. What are the things that for example, InvestorBase is excited about going forward over the next maybe 6 months?
oh man. Some things I just can't share. We got some big stuff coming out,
Come on,
which
we'll
is
tell
going to be
anybody.
exciting. Yeah, we just
Totally
trimmed this
understandable.
section. Um, Now I'll say this. I'll say at some point soon it'll become a lot easier to be able to press a button and have your deal sold with
Hmm.
InvestorBase. Um, so I'll leave that at that. Some other things we're excited about is definitely tiering the product. So to date, we are $250 a month, right? And if you go annual, it's $199 a month. So you get a 20% discount. Um, if you go and sign up for any other software out there, you're going to see that you have different types of tiers and different types of packages that you can choose from. To date, we've just been one size fits all.
Yeah.
Now, best, no wholesale company is the same. You have some people that have never done a deal before, and you have the people that are doing 50 deals a month that need a massive amount of data. So we've been underserving certain segments of the wholesale industry for quite a while. So we're incredibly excited to roll out some tiers, whether it's in the fourth quarter this year, first thing in 2026, um, which would be really good for us and for the user base as well, right? So they can choose their package that they want to be on. Um, Yeah, that would be a big thing for us internally. I would say that I'm excited about.
How do you guys go about figuring out what you're going to change, where you're going to roll out, I guess, product innovation. I mean, and I guess the question is not just product innovation, it's just innovation altogether. How do you guys go about that? Or what's your thought process behind something like that, right? Again, what you're doing is not, it's the exception. It's not the norm. It's not like the regular course that most people take. Yet I
Mhm.
feel you have very particular process into one, hedging the risks, seeing what's out there, what people need, and then you have to be extra diligent when you're in a such a competitive space like SaaS, right? Software as a service. What's your thought process or train of thought when it comes to innovation and what should be rolled out and what shouldn't?
Yeah, good question. We've been using a process called ICE lately, and not like ICE, you're going to get deported. It is ICE. It is stands for impact, confidence, effort, and then we added in a fourth called cost for certain aspects. So if this is something, I mean, it could be your company, for
Can
instance,
you
you
repeat
can
that
run,
again? It's impact.
yep, impact. So how much is this going to move the needle for
Mm-hmm.
us, right? And for
Mm-hmm.
us, we're looking at, is this feature going to be a 50 to $100,000 feature a year? Is this 100 to 250? Is this 250 to 500, or is this 500 to a million plus? Um, and then we're looking at confidence, right? So what is our confidence level that this is going to work? Is it 50%, which is a coin flip? Is it less than 50%? If it's 80% or greater, we're going to project that into, we're going to put it on the roadmap. We're going to project it into our, say, Q3 goals, right? If it's 100%, it's a no-brainer. Hey, we've done this before. We trialed it. It works, right? Then we're looking at effort. So for the dev team, how many hours or days of dev time is this going to take, right? And you can tie a number to that because the dev team is incredibly expensive, right? And then we're looking at cost. So for the product, do we have to buy a certain data set in order to do this? How many hours is it going to take of dev time so we can actually put a cost number on it? So we listen to our users a ton. We have multiple places within InvestorBase in the product where they can actually submit a feature request. So we're looking at all of those. We're also looking at cancellation reasons, right? If someone leaves, why did they leave, right? Is it product related? And if it is, we're looking at those. Meanwhile, looking at new feature requests. So that's how we prioritize, which ones we're going to focus on is the ICE method, right? Um, and so we'll typically have, two or three, like what I would call large or XL, new features that are going to be like, oh my God, this is like absolutely insane, right?
Yeah.
And then we have some other bug fixes. You got everything from bug fixes at the very bottom to the XL size features that are going to be pretty epic. So we got two, I would say, XL features coming out this quarter, which you can compare those to, the ability to build your buyers list in InvestorBase. That's probably an large XL feature. And then the ability to create a landing page for your deal, that's like kind to an XL feature. So we got two of those coming out this quarter, which is gonna be pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, there's always stuff happening, development wise. Yet I feel like you guys haven't lost the simplicity of just going in there and then, literally what we do is we'll pop in an address, and then just go to the right margin and then going down the line on like calling all those people. Boom, 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 boom.
Mhm.
Like it's I mean, it's just all right there. Switching gears a little bit, man. Tell me, walk me through the process of what does a regular day for you look like? I mean, a lot of times we have the question, right, of because we see platforms, we see, things out there, and then the people behind them, right? Like, no, they have, they have it easy, or they have it, it's easy for them because they're already lined up. And I feel like that can be the most, common, maybe way of thinking for most people out there who are not actually doing the work, right? Or who are seeing it from the outside. But what does that look like? In your shoes, right? Like, do you wake up, do you have that whole thing where you have a morning routine? Are you super strict? Do you wake up at 3 in the morning and then, put your right shoe first and then your left shoe first, and then that becomes
Mhm.
a thing? What is it? What is it? I mean, I'm curious to see, or to find out how different, for example, you doing things like this that are, having ripple effects and then, massive impact really, from the day to day that you were having before when you were like wholesaling and then doing that kind of stuff. How's that changing? More importantly, how's your thought process changed and your mindset?
Yeah, great question. A lot of people outside looking in will naturally say, man, you got it made. Your life must be so easy. I'm sure you've had the same thing to you. Obviously, being an entrepreneur is nowhere close to easy, right? It's
Yeah.
incredibly difficult. So with that, you have to work differently. You have to think a little bit differently than other people. You have to make sacrifices. For me, this entire year, a few changes I made. I work out every day. Well, at least 5 out of 7 days, right? Not Saturday, Sunday. So I wake up around 6:30, 7. I'm not on that David Goggins like 3 a.m. type grind. But that's a good time for me to be able to go to bed by 9:30 and get the amount of sleep that I need. Sleep is still incredibly important, right? I only drink on Fridays now. So I realize that if I drink, I'm 28, so I still got a lot of buddies that will go out and do stuff. I just can't do it. I have to have my Mondays, is what I like to say. I have to have my Mondays.
Yeah.
Um, so a Friday, say I have some beers or whatever the case may be, I have plenty of time to be completely fresh on Monday to perform. Because a lot of what my day looks like now is, I'm hopping into webinars with large groups of people where I'm demoing the product. We have a lot of one-to-many webinars that we do. I handle all the sales training with our internal team. I handle a lot of the operational activities within InvestorBase, so everything from finances to the accounting to the payroll. I handle the whole marketing department. So anything from new initiatives to managing our affiliate campaign. It's a lot of work. So that essentially is a full-time job in itself. Uh, so it's a lot. It is a lot. And as I mentioned earlier, the best way that I can really consolidate, what I need to do on that day is something that's helped me a lot is to buy your time back, where you do a time audit of yourself. And what I realized is that when I'm actually doing a time audit of myself, this is an Excel sheet where you are tracking what you do every 15 minutes, right? So you write down the time frame. So, 1:15 to 1:30 would be like a 15-minute time block. I'd say on podcast Rafael Cortez, right? And I fill it out for the hour. But whenever I wake up in the morning and I fill that out, my Excel sheet, and I look at all my meetings for the day, sometimes it's 5, 6, it's a lot. And I fill out those time blocks, I can see exactly how much time I have in between the
Yeah.
actual meetings that I actually have to delegate towards something, right? So then I'll write down on my notebook the 5 to 6 things, most pressing things or initiatives that I need to take. But then I have to actually prioritize, hey, which ones am I going to have time to actually do today based on my actual availability? So the time audit is only supposed to last, about a month. And then you kind of figure out, hey, what can I delegate to an EA or et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. But I actually have to do that every day. And that's where I'm most productive is doing that every day, actually.
Well, I mean, you bring a couple of really, really good points. For example, you're talking about drinking only on Fridays. One thing that I started doing recently, and this is for the sake of productivity and clarity more than anything. I mean, I had for the longest time, right? Like, oh, noon kicks around, 1 p.m. kicks around, I would go out and have a lunch. I mean, I love eating in good places, right? So I'd go into my favorite spot and then have a big meal and then come back to the office, and now I'm cloudy for the next 6 hours, pretty
Mhm.
much worthless when it comes to mental focus and clarity because I'm like, I just ate a cow.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would enjoy the lunch, but then like I don't know, forever it didn't register, right? So one thing that I'm doing that helps out quite a bit is like eating super light. Like I intermittent fast until about 1 p.m. And then when I eat, it's gonna be something lighter, like breakfast, a salad or something like that. I still throw some, protein on it Um, and but carry my day, and then I'll have, something, maybe a little heavier in the afternoons. So it's like playing with your biology makes, makes a lot of sense, especially when you have to retain that focus. For example, you're saying you need your Mondays, right? Like you're saying that because you've tried and tested, I'm assuming, for years, a certain way of doing things. Is like, oh no, if I go heavy on Saturdays, maybe I'm not gonna be so good on Mondays.
Hmm.
But it's finding, I feel like it's the next level of maturity, right? Like that next step is going to require a whole different version of us, right? You're stepping up to a different level, and you're finding out that it requires a different version of you, right? Your performance. And your focus. And now, the level of responsibility is higher, right? So you have to tweak your own ways of doing things. And I feel like that can be one of the biggest things where people, you know, I feel, linger in the old ways, and hold themselves back from moving forward and kind of releasing those past anchors. It's counterbalance, man. I like the way that you do it. I've always thought you were a very grounded dude. And I mean, I've enjoyed, the conversations that we've had in the past, because they feel genuine, they feel real, right? Um, and I mean, obviously right now you're working on the idea of just counterbalancing everything, between work and the person that you have to be, or become, right, and optimizing your day to day. What are maybe perhaps some of the give me maybe the two or three biggest things that you're doing right now that you feel help you improve on a day-to-day basis? I mean, something that somebody can apply and roll with.
Yeah, I have a good one. I, this year was kind of the first time that I had seen, my kind of work ethic and kind of my dedication to this product, right, take a toll on others to a degree. Um, like I started to realize that I was not responding to family or friends as much. And they will tell you too. I don't really call or text a lot of people to hang out and like do stuff. Like I'm not a planner. Like if you ask me to do something, then sure I'll do it. But started to negatively affect, like my mom would call me 10 times to finally have to get me on the phone.
Mm.
So one of my non-negotiables that I have on my board right there is one give for friend slash family. And I wrote that down probably like 3, 4 months ago because I became aware of this. Really, I was like, man, I honestly feel bad, right? Because my days have gotten so busy that I don't have time for like friends or family. They'll call me 5 times and I won't call back because
Yeah.
I'm on backlog. So having some non-negotiables is what I call it. And what I've learned from I think I learned this from Trevor Mock with CEO of Carrot.
Beast.
Um, Total beast, super like extreme clarity, right? The guy
Yeah.
operates in just a whole nother planet of clarity. I'm not sure how he does it, but I'm
Well,
taking it to
he
the next.
he's he says he's very diligent about the stuff that he says yes to, but more so the stuff that he says no to, I feel. I mean, he's just, yeah, I mean, yeah, totally different, conversation right there. But yeah, I agree. So carry
Yeah,
on.
yeah. And he just said, have some non-negotiables, right? This could be three, this could be four, this could be five, but something that you wake up and you have to check off the board every single day, right? So, and these can change. So for me, like this kind of sprint for me this quarter is um, make contact with 3 affiliates a day, schedule one case study per week, um, one give for the friend family, and those are my three for this quarter, right? Like very simple. But if I
Yeah.
don't write that down, I'm not going to do it, and I have to check it off, right? And so like those are some of the things that I wanted to do for this quarter is schedule one case study with one of our users, right? One
Yeah.
of our power users. So hey, a story about a deal that you've just done. It's podcast style like this. Tell me about your dispo process, right? So I want to know what's working for you nowadays, right? And so like feeding that back to our audience is going to be incredibly powerful. So I'd love to have you on there too, because after speaking with as many people on dispo processes, I got to see the back end of Rafael's lucid chart which was a extreme spider web of activities on the dispo side, but it was actually super clean. And I can confirm that it is a very robust dispo process. So you might need to, I don't know how you get access to that if you're looking at this. You might have to pay Rafael some money, but
No,
it
let's
is
see. I'd be
worth
happy.
it's
I'd be
worth
happy to
looking
jump
at.
on, man. So no, that's awesome. But you mean I mean, you're making a great point, right? Like non-negotiables are how many the crazy thing to me is that people expect to have this level of success, from doing the work, but then the sustainability of the good habits is not necessarily there, or the strength to stay true to some of the things that are going to move the needle and then do them for long enough, is something that they, okay, the Netflix show pops up and then, oh, your non-negotiables are out the window. They're that soft, bro. um yeah, one of the things that I have to keep myself, I have two reminders. I have two reminders, and if you look at my calendar every single day, I have two reminders at the top of the list, and of course, like the rest of my schedule, right? Like the podcast or the coaching, sessions and whatever. Like it's all in there. If it's not in my calendar, I will forget about it. I mean, and it's crazy, right? But it's either I
100%.
drop it into my calendar or somebody booked it into my calendar, and then then it's happening.
Then it's
Um,
real.
I
If
it
not, it's
it
not real.
it is, yeah, exactly. It is a real thing, right? To operate like it. So that's one thing I did that helped me quite a bit. And then I added two reminders to the top of that list when they rolled out the feature where it can be just a reminder. I mean, I love that as opposed to an appointment. But one is to focus on my highest and best. So I have that thing at the top of the list. So I open up my calendar, and the first thing that comes up is this little circle that says focus on my highest and best. Right. So it's just me seeing that every single day, every time I look at my calendar, it just redirects me. Why? Because I have the attention span of a lizard. And you know what I mean? It's like, oh, shiny object. I was like, oh, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. But focusing on my highest and best, at any given moment is a big thing. I mean, it's really the thing that allows me to be nimble, flexible, but still objectively moving forward, right? For example, I'm not gonna do underwriting or negotiation or have a seller conversation for longer than I have to if my highest and best at that point is to hire, like you were talking about earlier, right?
Mhm.
So that's one of the things. And then the one that I have right below that, because I can be pretty bad about it, is prayer, right? So I have focus on my highest and best, and the second one is like, don't forget to pray.
Yep. Good one.
Those two things, right? But I feel like you gotta have. I mean, you made a really really good point with the non-negotiable. So I urge you, if you're listening to the podcast, it's not just for the people who are trying to build businesses and leveling up. It's for everybody, right? Figure out what your non-negotiables are. What kind of values do you uphold that you're not going to break away from, and the things that you want to carry with you moving forward and make an impact, make a real impact. So that's huge, man. Big kudos on that. I want to switch gears a little bit and get a little bit more into the before we start winding down from the podcast, but getting to the more of the nuts and bolts. What Talk to me about disposition strategies for 2025. I mean, you guys are at the tip of the sword here when it comes to seeing all the activity that's going on, what's working, what's not working. I mean, you are having multiple sessions on a regular basis and seeing it. Give us some context on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I would start out by saying that you'll see and hear a lot of hype that the market is changing to a buyer's market, et cetera, et cetera. It would probably be in my best interest to, drive fear into everyone and say that we're entering into a buyer's market. But I honestly, I don't think that we are. I think that just right now we're moving from a seller's market more towards like a stabilized market, right? Now, that said, there's still change, right? So, I mean, if you look at the difference between 2021, 2022, and today, there are a ton of changes in the market, right? And how this affects everything else is extremely applicable, right? Especially as it pertains to the dispo side of the business. So, I mean, if you look at everything from rates to days on market to number of price reductions to, the months of inventory on market. I mean, all signs indicate that it is tougher for a flipper to sell a house in 2025, right?
Yeah.
Rates are higher, right? There's more inventory, right? Price reductions are up like the highest they've been since 2016. Inventory is still growing, right? Days on market is around 70 versus 23. So holding cost is higher, right? All of these things are affecting the flipper's soft costs. So, right. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a squeeze effect. And so where we find ourselves in the middle as wholesalers is buyers are mindful that they're going to be tagged with more soft costs nowadays, right? So, what does that lead to? It leads to um,
Locking them deeper.
locking them up deeper for one, being extremely picky,
Yeah.
and I would say most importantly is going to be lack of engagement on deals, right? So that's been one big change is buyer engagement in 2025. So, whenever I ask this question to a group of people, it is hilarious how many people raise their hand and say a comment, and it's pretty much, hey, how many times have you been emailed a deal like in the last week? Or how many times a day do you get a deal sent to you via text or email by a wholesaler?
Yeah.
And then every flipper in the room is like, oh, dude, I'm getting like blown up. I'm getting
Bombarded. Yeah.
inundated with deals. I don't know whether they're real. I don't know whether the wholesaler's real. I don't know whether he's direct to seller or not. Like, I don't know what to believe anymore. And so there's just so much noise in the email and the text channel in 2025 that really what's moved the needle the most for the most amount of people is actually building a targeted approach, right? So like an actual call campaign approach to buyers, right? So that's something that we do really well at InvestorBase is we educate primarily on how to communicate effectively with buyers, how to run an effective call campaign with buyers, the tips, the tactics of how to do that. So happy to drop a few in here as well. So what we identified after making about 30,000 phone calls to buyers in tracking it is we split tested 5 different cadences from, say, a single call to a double call voicemail plus text, right? So what is going to drive the call to contact rate the most, right? So what we identified is, a single call is going to produce about a 10 to 15% call to contact rate with buyers. So essentially you call 100 buyers, you're going to speak with 10 or 15, right?
Yeah.
You change that to a double call voicemail text, that goes up to 30%. So doubles, if not triples, simply by changing that call campaign to a double call voicemail text to buyers because they're busy, right? We are busy people. If somebody calls you nowadays in 2025 and I don't have your number, you best believe I'm not going to pick up your phone, right? But if you call me
Yeah.
twice, if you call me twice, I probably will.
What's
Leave me a
your
text,
what's your
leave me a voicemail.
time differential right there between the two calls? I mean, double calls meaning you call them right now, or do you back to back dial?
Back to back dial.
Back to back dial.
Yeah,
Nice.
back to
Yeah.
back dial.
Same. It's interesting. Same approach as on the front end as lead generation, triple dials, double dial. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So definitely a targeted approach. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that, hey, emailing your buyers list and texting your buyers list, it doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is that in 2025, every other wholesaler, even if they're new, the barrier of entry to build a buyers list in 2025 has gone down tremendously. So
Yeah.
your buyers
Facts.
that you have a relationship with, that you think, hey, whenever I hit up Johnny, he's going to respond to me because we're boys. Well,
Right.
every other wholesaler is probably hitting up Johnny because now they have access to him. So how are
Yeah.
you really going to reach Johnny to get his attention? You can send him the same email that everyone else is sending. You can send the same blanketed text, but getting that sucker on the horn is really what's going to move the needle as far as driving engagement for the buyers that are supposed to be busy in your deal. And I'll just end it with this too is we don't expect anyone to go and hit all 3,000 buyers on their list, right, via
Yeah.
phone call. Um, so having a way to, one, priority rank your buyers, but two, be able to filter your buyers list is what's going to be important to focus your time on the people that are supposed to be focused on based on their transaction history, right?
Yeah, no, I love that, and you make a very very good point. We are in the relationship business. At the end of the day, like we're still creating relationships. We're creating we talk. I mean, we call it rapport on the seller side, right? But it's the same thing on the buyer side. On the seller side, it's just it tends to be a lot faster because there's movement going on, and usually people that come and sell wholesale, it's going to be a one-time hit. You rarely have that person that keeps coming back and then selling you more properties unless they're an investor or you built an actual relationship with that person that gave them, trust and confidence that you can come through. Now, on the buyer side, I mean, those are long-term relationships. Those are, we make a point out of creating, a list, right? Or VIP list on our databases and segment by state because we do virtual stuff. We're in multiple different states. But even though you have, that backup there with software and CRMs and structures and tools and bells and whistles and everything, nothing's gonna replace that conversation, that understanding of, Javi calling Johnny about this deal that we have is like, I know it's in your buy box. Take a look at it. I mean, how was that other one we sold? Are you guys done with the flip? Simple things like that. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's something I'm not too scared of AI. I'm weary of it, but I'm not too scared of AI because I feel like if you do relationships right, you're going to be in business for a long time, and that plays right into what you're talking about. Dude, great points. I love having you on the podcast, man. It's really cool to see the future pacing, right, that you guys have inside going on with InvestorBase. And I'm excited. I'm excited. I mean, I talk about you guys with my students all the time, and it's not fluff. It's not because we're buddies. It's because I really do believe the platform is a great platform, and you guys are doing amazing things. So, um, before we sign off, there's one question that I like asking all my guests, and that's if you were walking down the street and you ran into your 17-year-old self, what advice would you give that kid?
That's a tough one. Well, first off, thanks for what you said. I appreciate that. I love being here. I love chatting about this. If 17-year-old Daniel was um, hmm, walking down the street, man, I was trying to think of something funny because I've done a lot of stupid shit uh, over the last 10 years, I'd say. So,
Well, dude, you're
um,
28.
yeah, I
You,
know.
you're like, I mean, you should be doing stupid shit, not developing like big badass software platforms at 28. But no, it's good that you're doing that. We need it.
I would, well, since I couldn't think of something funny because I don't want to incriminate myself on this podcast, I would, this is going to sound cliche, but I just told a 17-year-old this the other day, and I said to simply learn as much about AI as you possibly can. Um,
Mm.
I don't know whether, I'm feel like I'm almost turning into like a doomsday prepper at this point with, Elon Musk stating that they're going to have artificial general intelligence in the next year and a half, which I listened to another podcast that essentially
Would you call
artificial
that artificial what?
general
Oh,
intelligence. So that's where AI can reason as well as humans, like actual
yeah.
reasoning capabilities. There's more to it than that.
I,
I'm not an expert, but
no, I believe it though.
and then there's what's called ASI, which is artificial superintelligence, which is where apparently ASI can come either within an hour or decades after AGI is created. But at that point, we have officially, created a being that is more intelligent than us. Which, if you think about just the whole how old the world is, it
Yeah,
is probably the scariest thing that we could potentially be 6 months to a year away from that. Um,
that is
that
wild.
I sometimes just catch my mind thinking of the worst possible things, but it is a real reality. I mean, I'm almost planning on like buying an island and building like a bunker in it. I swear, I've had these visions lately. But hopefully, I need to talk to a specialist and they can educate me. But man, like if you're
it
just
is scary though. I mean, like it is wild to think about everything that's shit, man. I mean, think about it. ChatGPT rolled out not too long ago, and you know the impact, the change. I mean, it's changed workplaces. You know, the way that people perform, it's changed it. I mean, there's so many different things that are happening way fast, and I don't think, you know, for the most part, we're not ready for all these, you know, fast paced changes, right? And that's I mean that is adaptability takes a minute, I feel.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean
Yeah.
I'm there with you when it comes to the uncertainty of what AI can bring. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good advice. I think it's good, solid advice too. Like learn the most you can about AI because it's the internet right now. You know, it's the internet in 1995. You know, it's the thing that's going to change the world. It's the printing press back in, you know, back in the day. You know, there's certain things that come, you know, create forks on the road, and I think this is definitely one of them. So
Yeah, 100%. Like,
yeah.
and I would just mean learn as much as you can about it. I mean, those will be the highest paying jobs if you work at a high AI company here in the next 10 years. I mean, I have no idea where it's going to be in the next 10 years, but if you understand enough to be hired, say by OpenAI or something,
Yeah.
I mean, they are paying boatloads of money to those people, right? But yeah.
That is wild. Daniel, thank you so much, man. If somebody wants to continue the conversation, maybe reach out to you guys for services, where's the best place to find you guys
Yeah,
or
man.
find you?
If you go to InvestorBase.com,
Hmm.
we actually have a 14-day free trial. So if you fit in any of these buckets, if you're a wholesaler who is currently JVing, right? They're having someone else sell their deals and you're splitting the profit. If you're trying to sell it on Facebook, you know, if you're still pulling a cash buyers list, if you're attempting to use a marketplace model and dealing with fake buyers, if you fit in any of these buckets, what I recommend is you can do a 14-day free trial with InvestorBase where you come in, you check it out for free. Um, if you use the Rafael code, which I believe is Pulse, you'll get $100 off that first month. Um,
Boom.
definitely worth just coming out. You have no reason to not check it out. Let me just verify that for you, brother.
Yeah, I
But
think
yeah,
you can
super
have it as
simple.
polls.
Yeah, it's Pulse. So that would only be about $149 for 45 days of access with InvestorBase.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, if you're doing deals, like I said, we use it to underwrite, even on the acquisition side. I mean, it really
Hmm.
becomes a tool that's a day to day, not just on dispo. You know, for us, it did that really quick. So awesome. Where can somebody find you on social media? Start following you.
Just Daniel McClam.
Bam. Not the
Yeah.
real Daniel McClam or the man, the
Nope,
myth, the
I'm not
legend,
there
Daniel
yet, man.
McClam.
I haven't made it that far. If you go to InvestorBase, I mean, we might have like 150 followers on InvestorBase. I'm not sure. We haven't spent a lot of time on it. You won't see anything about work either. It's just me posting a picture with my fiance whenever I'm forced to. Like,
Whenever you're forced to like that.
yeah, it's like literally my birthday, or like we get engaged, or we have an engagement photos. It's something like that.
Awesome. I love it, dude. Well, it's always refreshing, man, having conversations with you. I always enjoy our talks, and I look forward to seeing you soon. I think we're gonna catch up here pretty soon in Tampa as well. So
Yeah, brother,
coming up in the
100%.
mastermind.
We
With
will
that
be
being
there.
said, yeah, thank you so much, bro, for being on the show and sharing. Thanks for the discount as well. So people, I mean, go out there, you know, check it out. If you're actively wholesaling, you're looking for buyers. I mean, this is a list. Literally, just type in the address and then it just populates and it does everything. Now you're seeing um, how, you know, the business came about, right? What kind of integrity is behind it? And I feel like that's one of the biggest you know, things or benefits of having these type of conversations, right? It's not like a I'm not trying to make it a prolonged, you know, sales pitch or anything, or a sales pitch altogether, but it's something that works. I believe in what you guys are doing, and you know, big kudos for that. And you guys are also great people, man. I love hanging out with you guys. So
Hey, brother, you too, man.
yeah,
Appreciate you so much.
fam, go check him out. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, stay focused. You got this.